What's up, everybody? Happy, not so happy Thursday. We have to stop meeting here like this, folks.
I know.
It's awful. Well, nonetheless, it's Thursday.
Can we do like one show that's planned that we like talk about?
We still haven't been able to do. We haven't been able to do like the Splatterball show that I've been wanting to do with all the fun topics where we get to make fun of people because these idiot liberal, leftist, radical, fascist, Nazi, whatever the hell you want to call them, they keep breaking stuff. So we have to keep addressing it.
Well, let's be honest. They actually just keep killing people.
They keep killing people.
Frankly, let's just call it what it is, because this is a wild epidemic. They can't stop killing people. And we'll just...
They can't. Well, what's up, everybody? This is the Patriot Source Podcast. As you know, we are PatriotDad, NomDePlume, and our favorite investigator, SK. And I would love to say that we're happy to be here today. We are, but unfortunately, we have even more bad news for everybody. As you know, yesterday was the shot heard round the world. Make no mistake, what happened yesterday, the violent assassination of Charlie Kirk, is going to change people's lives. It's going to change the direction of this country. It's going to change the direction of the world. And we're going to talk about it. And we've got a lot to talk about. But one of the things that we're excited about is there is getting ready to be a press conference. The FBI in Utah is getting ready to come up to the podium and give us an update. And I think the country desperately needs one. We need to know what the hell is going on, because it has been more than 24 hours and they still apparently haven't found this lunatic. So hopefully they have some news for us. So once this pops up, we'll bring it live, as close to live as we can get it. And then we're going to talk about it. But one of the things that I want to spend some time talking about is I put a video out yesterday on TikTok right when I had caught the news that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. I told the American people in my audience that you need to pay very close attention to the words and the actions of the audience that assassination attempt was meant for. And man, we nailed it. We've been nailing this, SK. We've been nailing this for months. We've been warning people that they are growing increasingly radicalized. They are growing increasingly violent. And we know who it is. We know the networks that are funding it. We know the people that are pushing it. And I don't think it's going to slow down. SK, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And I think that I'm not going to be shocked to find out if this person was a member of the, socialist, whatever, gun club, shooting, whatever it's called for the socialists. Because I've been telling you guys that they've had advertisements for training for, shooting, and they talk about, bringing their guns to protests, and I mean, they're out of control. They want an actual revolution, and it's the communists and the socialists that are pushing this, and they want to silence people's speech, and they're doing it. And what's crazy to me is that, I was on TikTok live all day today, and the comments are crazy, and seeing the number of people on the left that are elected officials that are, still saying, Trump is a Nazi and dictator and authoritarian fascist. They use the word fascist all the time and they have no idea what it means. And in the same breath, they say that they want to limit Second Amendment rights and, take people's guns or limit this with, guns, while they're calling Donald Trump fascist. The fascists are the ones that do that. The fascists are the ones that kill people for their speech, not people that are in favor of liberty. And that's what I don't understand. They're calling the right fascist, but they're the ones that are limiting the speech and wanting to take guns and are killing people for what they say, their words. There's not ever a circumstance where anybody should be killed for their speech.
Nom, what the hell is wrong with these people?
Well, I mean, I think we all know. I think they're psychotic. They're ingrained and embroiled in a psychosis that I think can and should be studied for years to come. I don't really want to talk about that just now. So I put out a video about an hour ago. So this morning, President Trump said that he was going to honor Charlie Kirk and his wife and his two young kids with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And I think it's a wonderful idea. That's the highest honor any civilian in the country can be awarded. Charlie Kirk was a hero. He was a hero to millions and millions of young people. The way that I found out about it, and I didn't believe it, was our youngest, who is 3 weeks into his freshman year at college, down here in the South. He texted us. He's the one who told us what was going on, and my three boys are completely shook over this. Our oldest, when he was in high school, I believe he was 15 or 16, in one of the largest school districts in the state of Ohio. He actually did start a Turning Point chapter at his high school. So they were shook over this. President Trump, awarding the Presidential Medal of Freedom. I'd like him to go further. I believe, and I made a statement yesterday, that to me, this is the same event as assassinating Martin Luther King. Boy, did I kick some hornet's nest with that.
You're
Because
not wrong.
I know I'm not. I equate it to the assassination of Martin Luther King.
It
or
might even be
JFK.
bigger. It might even be bigger.
I agree. So we'll get to all that, and I'll explain what I mean by that. And I hope it continues to trigger the left, because they did not like hearing that. But I'm going to tell them, you don't own Martin Luther King. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you think Martin Luther King is about black versus white, and it's not. And the fact that you think that, is how I know you don't own Martin Luther King Day. I want President Trump to declare either September 9th, September 10th, or Charlie Kirk's birthday, which I believe is October 14th, as Charlie Kirk Day. Just like we have Martin Luther King Day, just like we have President's Day. I want him to declare it a national holiday. I believe that's what Charlie Kirk has earned, for what he's done for this country, what he's done for the youth in this country, high school, college. He brought an entire generation of young people into the political discourse, especially conservatives on college campuses who basically were hiding in the shadows. They were not welcome to speak on these places that are supposed to be about ideas. And we know what the universities have turned into. So I'd like to humbly ask the president to make, whether it's September 10th or it's October 14th, Charlie's birthday, make that a national federal holiday. And I believe President Trump should do it, just so they have to think about him and say his name every single year. And number two, when president does award the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Charlie's wife, Erica, and his two young kids, I believe we should have a Million Man March on the National Mall. I'm going to call for a Million Man March. MAGA, get on your planes, get on your trains, get on your buses, start driving. I would love to see a million MAGA in the National Mall to commemorate Charlie Kirk and everything that he's done for this movement. President Trump would not be president without him.
I think we need to figure out how to organize this.
That's just a fact. So
we need to figure out how to organize this. If people aren't already doing it, we absolutely need to. The assassination of Charlie Kirk. I don't know why I keep saying Cook. The assassination of Charlie Kirk is probably the single most important event to have happened in 20 years. Maybe 20 years. I mean, 9/11 notwithstanding.
Yeah.
I think notwithstanding 9/11, I think it's way longer than that, actually.
I mean, look, yeah. I think the thing that I keep going back to is that Charlie Kirk was not assassinated because of his political views. I know that people want to believe that he was. He was assassinated for going to college campuses and debating liberals. That is not, from my perspective, that is not why that man was assassinated. You have to step back a little bit to truly understand the impact that this man was having on an entire generation of people. I continue to call what Charlie Kirk was doing a ministry. It was not just a political movement. It was a ministry. He was reframing for an up and coming generation some of the most important topics that will define the rest of their lives, their identities, how to raise their families, encouraging American young men to get married early, to find a wife, have children, raise a traditional American household. These are things that haven't been allowed to be talked about for decades. These were some of the most taboo topics in the country for decades, and he was willing to do it. We saw a video, maybe we can play it here if we get a chance, but we saw a video of a podcaster asking Charlie Kirk, if he were to die tomorrow, what would he want to be remembered by? SK, do you remember what he said?
He said, well, first he said, "You mean if I die?" And he said, "Yeah." And without missing a beat, he said, "I want to be remembered for my courage, for my faith."
Courage for his faith. So the United States has seen a year-over-year decline of Christianity of more than 1% every year for as far back as I can remember. It was getting to the point where the bottom was starting to fall out of faith in the United States. And from the minute that he stepped foot on college campuses, you saw that trend halted and then starting to revert and turn around and go back up again. But you know who was leading it? It wasn't women. It wasn't grandmas. It wasn't grandpas. It was Gen Z young men who were finding faith again and going back to church. And what they were doing with that is then they were taking their parents with them to church. They were reintroducing their friends and their girlfriends and their spouses and their moms and dads to going back into church. And I would argue that Charlie Kirk single-handedly changed the direction of people of faith in this country. This is going to be the single most important event in Christendom in probably the last 100 years, if not more.
Yeah, I agree. And I have a son that's 21, and he started dating his fiance when they were 15. And he's watched Charlie Kirk since he was in high school. And, he's always talked about wanting to have a family, get married, have a family. He wants to be the provider. He wants a traditional family. They go to church. I mean, and they're getting married here in just a few months. And I mean, he changed a huge portion of an entire generation. It's not just Gen Z, it's Gen Alpha too. My 12-year-old,
Even more so.
yeah, I picked him up. Yeah, you're right. And I picked him up from school. And I know my son watches Charlie Kirk. He just started watching him a few months ago. And I mean, obviously, we talk about politics all the time, and I'm doing this every day. So, my kids are up to date on politics. But he just started watching him. And I didn't know that his friends watched Charlie Kirk or knew who he was. And I picked him up from school. They're not allowed to have phones in school anymore. So he got in the car and, he said, "Are you okay?" And because I mean, I was really upset. I had just found out that it had just, I mean, I'd known for a while, I was getting text messages and calls from people, but it had officially come out that he had passed. And so I'd been really upset. And, my son said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Well, I need to tell you that, Charlie Kirk was shot." And he was like, "What? Are you serious?" I mean, and he was like, "Is he okay?" And I was like, "No, buddy,
Hey
he
guys,
didn't make it."
it looks like the FBI's out. So let me bring this up. Sorry to interrupt, SK, but I know we wanted to jump into Cash Patel's there.
Get it? Yep.
I don't know if you
Yeah,
guys can
and
see
him,
Gina Cash.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna bring this on, and we're just gonna sit back and listen, and we'll probably jump on here soon with some commentary.
Weapon. We have the new TMZ video that we've been airing for you. We know that they have palm prints. We know that they have fingerprints. We know that they have footprints. Let's listen in.
This evening, we have FBI Director Patel, FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino, Special Agent in Charge Robert Bowles, Governor Spencer Cox, Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson, and Commissioner Anderson, as well as Commissioner Bo Mason, as well as some local partners here present with us today. Governor, we'll kick it off. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us here tonight. We appreciate the media and the partnership we have with you in helping us to get information out to the public so that we can catch this assassin and hold him accountable. We are going to share a portion of a video and that we have of the suspect, as well as some new stills. Those have already been released, but we want to make sure that they get as much attention as possible so that we can get help from the public in tracking down this evil human being. So we're going to queue up the video right now. Show that. I've asked Commissioner Bo Mason if he would narrate to you what is happening in this video.
Thank you, Governor. Bo Mason, Commissioner for the Utah Department of Public Safety. If you look up to the top left, you'll see the building where the shooter was proned out in the top left corner. We'll go ahead and play that video and I'll narrate as we walk through that. So here you see the suspect ran behind that upper building. He's going to come out on the right, moves to this far right corner. As he does, he's going to climb off the edge and then drop down to the ground. As he did that, he left some palm impressions. There's some smudges, some places we're looking to collect DNA. There's a shoe imprint where we believe the suspect is clearly identified as wearing Converse tennis shoes. Again, we'll replay that again so you can get another view of that. It's important to note his black t-shirt, his black pants, and there appears to be some white on the soles of those Converse tennis shoes. Those are all identifiable items that we're looking for. In the stills that are going to follow this, you're going to see a very distinctive t-shirt with an American flag and appears to have an eagle on it. There's also a baseball cap with a triangle on it and a pair of sunglasses. All distinctive, all things that we would ask the public to look for and try to identify if they know someone who has those items, who has been seen wearing those items. We're looking for all that information. Here you see the suspect after dropping off the building. He moved around across this grassy area, around the parking lot. We're going to pan to the right. After he crosses the street, this is where he moves over into the wooded area. This is the video evidence that we utilize to track his movements and to locate that firearm in that wooded area following the discovery of this evidence. Good. You want to go to the stills? So here's the still photographs I mentioned. These have been enhanced. So these are slightly different than what we introduced earlier. Please pay close attention to the t-shirt. Like I said, very distinctive with that American flag and that eagle. The hat with the triangle and the sunglasses. If you'll go to the next picture, please. The backpack as well. All identifying features that we're hoping the public can help us identify and lead us to this suspect. Next picture. And again, there's a better picture of the hat with that triangle logo and again, the t-shirt. Blue jeans, and you get a good look at those Converse tennis shoes as well. We have pushed these out. We'll continue to push these out. And we just ask for the public's cooperation through the public. The tips that have been coming in are what are giving us our next leads and enabling us to continue to further this investigation. We've had great cooperation from the public, and we're continuing to ask for that as we move forward. Thank you, and I'll turn the time back over to Governor Cox.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Mason. I want to thank Director Patel and his team. It's great to have them on the ground with us tonight. We've had several briefings, and he's had an opportunity to walk the crime scene. We appreciate our local law enforcement here. Again, we have Mike Smith, who is the county sheriff here. We have all of our local chiefs of police that are here as well, all working hand in hand with the state and with the FBI as we move forward with this investigation. Now, I'll just give you a little warning. We will not be taking any questions at this time. We're giving you the latest information we have, being as transparent with everything that we have. But I do want to share a couple things that I think are important. We cannot do our job without the public's help right now. The public has answered our call for action. So far, we've received more than 7,000 leads and tips. I would just note that the FBI hasn't received this many digital media tips from the public since the Boston Marathon bombing. This case also highlights the dedication of our law enforcement community. We have 20 federal, state, and local law enforcement partners that are working shoulder to shoulder to find the person who committed this horrific crime. With their support, we've completed nearly 200 interviews. As you're aware, as has already been reported, the FBI is offering a $100,000 reward for information leading to the identification and arrest of the person responsible for the murder of Charlie Kirk. We also continue to implore the public to support this investigation and come forward with any information. We are truly hopeful that this video and new photos will lead to even more tips. We are processing. We have an incredible team, a state and federal team working together to process those tips. We are going out in tandem to interview any potential person of interest or suspects. But we need, again, we need as much help as we can possibly get. Any videos or photos that you might have, the public should be submitted to our digital media tip line, which is www.fbi.gov/Utah Valley shooting, all lowercase. Again, that is fbi.gov/Utah Valley shooting, all lowercase. You can also provide general tips about the shooting by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI. That's 1-800-CALL-FBI, or at tips.fbi.gov. This is, I would just say, this is not just a local matter here in Utah. We have people all over the country that are helping to bring this perpetrator to justice for Charlie Kirk and his family. I will just add as well that, as was mentioned, there is a lot of forensic evidence that is being processed right now at both the state lab and the federal labs, federal lab on the East Coast. So we are working in tandem together. I would also just add a word of note for those people who are spending so much time on social media. I think Charlie said it best, that when things get bad, we should put our phones down and spend a little time with our families. There is a tremendous amount of disinformation. We are tracking our team, the state team, and I'm sure the federal team as well. What we're seeing is our adversaries want violence. China, we have bots from Russia, China, all over the world that are trying to instill disinformation and encourage violence. I would encourage you to ignore those, to turn off those streams, and to spend a little more time with our families. We desperately need some healing. We'll have more to say about that in the days and weeks to come. More than anything, we are going to catch this person. Last thing I will just say is we've been working with our attorneys, getting everything that we need, affidavits ready, so that we can pursue the death penalty in this case, and that will happen here in the state of Utah. Again, to the public, to those who are grieving, thank you for your prayers. I know we are feeling those prayers. I know the Kirk family is feeling those prayers as well. We pray that God will bless our nation at this very dark time. We can start healing by finding this perpetrator and holding him accountable, and we need your help to do that. Thank you.
That is the press conference we have been waiting for. We continue our coverage as the manhunt for Charlie Kirk's assassin continues. Authorities just gave an update, sharing new video.
All right. Well, there you have it. Not much, but at least it's something. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to catch the guy. I mean, it took, 5 days to catch the Boston bombers. You're not going to get away with this. I mean, this is not a professional. And I saw this all over the place. I think people need to understand. Listen, wasn't a sniper, but I'm a daggone good long range shot. I was a 6 award expert shooter over 8 years. One, I was a marksman out of boot camp. No, I think it was a sharpshooter out of boot camp. And then another one when I was leaving Okinawa, I didn't hit expert on it. A 200-yard shot is easy. It's not a hard shot. This is, and especially with a Mauser with 306 or 30-06 round on there, that is not a hard shot at all. This is not a professional. They will catch him. Was wearing no gloves. There's going to be DNA all over the place, fingerprints all over the place. And they're right. There is a ton of mis and disinformation. The theories that we're seeing are crazy, from Israel to it's professional, and the only reason you leave the gun in the woods is so it can be found, and the messaging scrawled on there. All of those things are, they're probably evidence, and they're going to figure out what it all means. But this is not a professional by any stretch of the imagination. They're going to catch this person. The question that I have, and I need someone to really help me rationalize it, is when one of these things happens, it's MAGA, it's alt-white, or it's alt-right, it's far right, it's white MAGA. Why would a conservative do this? And we said the same thing about President Trump, because they blamed all of this on MAGA. When President Trump, back in Butler a year ago, they blamed that on MAGA. This Ryan Ruth character, they still want you to believe that he's a conservative. Why would MAGA or a conservative do this to one of the most influential and impactful and important people to the MAGA movement there is? Why? We need him. We needed Charlie Kirk for the midterms. We need him.
There is only one reason why they say the things that they say like that, and it's not to try to convince me or you or SK or the other 81% of Americans who no longer support the Democrats based on recent polling of their support. It's to get the propaganda out there to the small fringe death cult that is the remaining Democrat Party, to keep them engaged. It's to be able to fight the digital warfare game that they have been playing and losing, quite honestly, getting their asses kicked at it in ways they never thought possible. But that is not an attempt to try to convince the American people that MAGA is behind this, because no reasonable person would ever accept that notion. Nobody. That's the reason why they wear those shirts. That shirt that he has on right now, that is the new Antifa uniform. Maybe not that shirt specifically, but they've been organizing behind the scenes for a very long time, going all the way back to January 6th. We've seen the videos, we've seen the photos of people dressed in black pouring off of buses outside of the Capitol, and then suddenly they show up wearing MAGA gear. They have been organizing in their Reddits, and SK, I know you follow these channels. They've been organizing in their Reddit channels and their Discord servers to do exactly this, to blend in, to wear veteran gear, things that would make people identify them as MAGA, that would make them identified as veterans, because they're trying to hide in plain sight, and B, it's because they are running a color revolution against the United States. That's all that is. It's color revolutionary propaganda. Red meat for the 20% that are willing participants in the death cult that is the Democrat Party today. Make no mistake, the Democrat Party is a terrorist organization. They're a terrorist organization from top to bottom. From top to bottom, they are a terrorist organization. Yesterday, Speaker Mike Johnson tried to hold a moment of silence in the well of the House, and he was met with boos and jeers and screams from elected officials. I came across a Democrat in the state of Indiana who's running for Congress right now, who was celebrating the assassination of one of the most important spiritual and political leaders probably in our country's history. This is somebody who's running for Congress. This, and I hope we get to this tonight. This is not a problem of the fringe elements of the remaining remnants of the Democrat Party. This is the lifeblood of what is left of the Democrat Party. What you're seeing online today, the disgusting, just awful, demonically inspired celebrations that are happening across this country from a small group of people, but incredibly vocal and incredibly angry and incredibly violent. This is who they are. And when they tell us who they are, we should be listening to them. We should believe them. And we should remember this. We should never, ever, ever allow ourselves to get it twisted, to think that, oh, it's just a fringe element of the Democrat Party. No, no. This is the Democrat Party. This is who they are. SK, I know you've been diving into these channels, into these Reddit channels, and into these Discord servers. Am I wrong to say that that is the new Antifa uniform?
No, you're not. You're not wrong. It's hiding in plain sight, exactly like you said. You're not going to suspect, somebody doing something like that to Charlie Kirk that's wearing a shirt like that. Same with Butler, PA. He was wearing a Demolition Derby shirt. They do it to blend in. I'm kind of without words when it comes to this. I kind of have chills. And the first time, I haven't really looked at the pictures super close. Aside from just like the face, I wasn't really I saw the shirt, but I didn't pay attention to the hat. And I noticed that they said there was a triangle symbol on the hat. So I went and looked at the FBI picture of the hat, and I looked up what a triangle could mean or what the hat could be. And I found that socialists, it could symbolize like, resistance to fascism and a revolutionary struggle. And that's exactly what they're saying in those groups, is that this is a revolution. They want a revolution.
This is stunning to me that we have an entire generation of people that don't understand that fascism and socialism and communism are effectively the same thing.
They are. I call socialism communism light.
It's
'Cause that's what
effectively the same thing. The only difference, if you, I mean, we can maybe do a show on this. I don't know if you guys have read it. I know I've read it. SK, you probably read it. But for those of you guys who don't know, go read The Doctrine of Fascism. Go read it. Gentile and Mussolini explained exactly what fascism is. They explained it. It is socialism. The only difference between fascism and socialism is that Mussolini, right, as he was writing this, Italy was coming out of the First World War, and he saw an opportunity to create a national identity. That's it. Communists and socialists believe that borders should not infringe upon the struggle between the classes. They believe that the bourgeoisie and the poor people in other countries should band together against, or excuse me, the proletariat should band against the bourgeoisie regardless of borders. There should be a class struggle within Italy or within Soviet Union or within whatever country it's in. Mussolini just said, no, no, we have a national identity, but the struggle still existed. That is the only difference between the two, is the fact that Mussolini believed that borders were a thing and they needed to have an identity because they were obviously getting ready to march into a second world war again. I mean, this isn't hard, folks. Fascist, you are socialist. Socialist, you are fascist. This isn't that hard. So when I hear a bunch of socialists running around here talking about anti-fascism, you have no idea what anti-fascism is. Do you know what the conflict was between the socialists and the fascists and the communists were back in Europe, back in the early 20th century? Do you guys know what it was? They were fighting over each other because that whole radical left-wing side of the political spectrum is a zero-sum game, meaning there's only so many people. So they were arguing over who was more socialist or who was more communist or who was more authoritarian or totalitarian. That was the struggle. That's why they hated each other. They were arguing over numbers of people. That's it. But it wasn't until after World War II that fascism started to be redefined. And it is now defined as something very different than what it used to be. Fascism today is the product of the spoils go to the victors. When the Soviet Union and Stalin helped to win World War II, they immediately moved to redefine fascism. So all of you communists out there who hate fascism, just understand that you're basically just sucking down the propaganda that came from Stalin, because he didn't like fascists because he wanted all the fascists to join communism. That's it. That is a basic history of how we got to where we are in fascism now. This isn't that hard, folks. Antifa, guess what? You're fascist because you're all authoritarian socialists. Nam, what do you think about that?
I think that's fascinating. I could have told you they're fascist just by watching how they behave. I mean, violence, let's be honest, right? I mean, violence has many meanings, I suppose. None of them are prepared for uncontrolled violence at all. None of them are. They see violence in a very controlled way. And what I mean by that is, they have their little LARP gear on, their LARPing gear on, with their trash cans as shields, and their bike helmets and their goggles and all that stuff. The only reason they are able to pretend to want to do political violence and resist the man and resist the police in the streets is because the police are well controlled, well disciplined. You put any of those people in an uncontrolled violent situation in an actual war, they will pee their little diapers. Okay. These people don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're asking for. And more importantly, if they get it, they have no concept of what to do with it. It's like the dog that's trying to chase the car and doesn't know what to do with it, right? They live to resist. And in doing that, they live to destroy, not to build anything at all. They will never build anything out of this. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell them, but we're not going anywhere. We're ready when you are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I look around my room right here and I'm ready. All right. But we also have too much to lose. All of us do. We have too much to lose. And I think they're in a position where they don't think they have a lot to lose. That's why they're doing this, because they're outcasts, they're the losers, they're the rejects of society, the island of misfit toys. And they've probably been like that their entire lives. So, they believe that they don't have anything else to lose. And I think that's how we got to where we are. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
It absolutely makes sense. SK, what do you make of the environment that you saw today on social media? Because, and I'll just set this up for you, and then maybe I want to show a couple quick videos, but I was just horrified this morning when I woke up, and it seemed like the celebration increased overnight into today. This isn't just a matter of the bot accounts or the troll accounts, people hiding anonymously in the comment sections of people's posts and videos. Like, these are actual people putting their face on the internet. Like, they are, it's not just the fringe. It is teachers, government employees, DOJ officials, Department of War officials, National Guard, active duty people,
Secret Service agents,
a Secret Service agent. It is healthcare workers. I mean, they have come out of the shadows. And one of the cool things that I think, and SK, I'll turn it to you in a second, is they're being mapped. The effort that I'm seeing online to rip the mask off of these people. I've never been a fan of cancel culture, but I'm also just sitting back and watching these people get their asses canceled because they effing deserve it. SK.
Yeah, social media has been rough today. It's been really rough. As a matter of fact, I'm on a TikTok live. I just have it turned down and I'm muted. And every now and then I'm looking at the comments. The comments just keep coming. And I do think that some of these are bot accounts, but I have a feeling that they said what they said about, mis and disinformation and bot accounts because they're trying to, turn things down a little bit. Because even though we are all sitting here saying, we don't want violence, we don't advocate for any type of violence at all whatsoever in any case at all. They do not feel that way. And they're trying to push Republicans to say things that sound violent or whatever. So I just wouldn't fall into that trap. And I think that we need to be careful with labeling, the entirety of the left as a terrorist group. Biden did that to Trump supporters. Remember, he said that MAGA were domestic terrorists. And I think that's dangerous. But I think that the people that are in the party that are moderate, you're going to have to make a choice. You can't allow these people in your party. There are far right fringe people. We've debated them. I've debated far right fringe people. And the things that they say and believe are absolutely insane. And I say that all the time. And I'm like, I don't support those people. They don't represent me. But that's not what the Democrat Party is doing. They're not saying these people that are saying these things don't represent me. It's the actual influencers on social media that represent the Democrat Party that are saying some of these things. These are actual people running for office and in government and nurses. It's terrifying. These are people that are supposed to be saving your life when you're in trouble.
Well, but these are also the same people, if you remember during COVID, they said, if you didn't get vaccinated, they're going to put you at the back of the line, right? These are the healthcare workers. That's who these people. So we know that. And, SK, I tend to agree with you that, it's dangerous to label, the entire party as terrorists. It's probably a bit of a stretch. But it's not our problem to solve. This is their problem to solve. If we had this problem inside the MAGA movement, inside the, the conservative Republican right, we'd kick them the hell out of the party. We don't have any time for that. I don't have any time for far right Nazi people. You're not welcome here. I don't want anything to do with you. But I have not seen a single prominent Democrat call to turn down the temperature. And what I mean, actually, that's not true. It's not true. David Pakman today, by the way, was complaining that it doesn't look like MAGA is doing what they need to do to turn down the rhetoric. It's not our rhetoric, dude. It's been your rhetoric. And matter of fact, David Pakman, you were the tip of the spear at doing all of this stuff. And now you expect MAGA to turn down the rhetoric? You are the rhetoric. And then all these little people under you and below you that are listening to you, they're consuming what you're saying. They are the ones that are levying the death threats every single day on TikTok for more than a year since President Trump, the assassination attempt at Butler. Every single day, there's somebody out there that said, "I wish somebody would. When's it going to happen? When are you guys going to do it? Who's going to do it? When's it going to happen?" It's going to happen someday, but could it happen today? That is the rhetoric that David Pakman wants us to turn down. And by the way, David Pakman, you cash the checks of the people who are funding this. You don't get to walk away from this like you had no role in this, right? You cashed the checks. You were the mouthpiece, no different, in my opinion, than the mouthpieces for Al Qaeda and ISIS and Hamas, the propagandists for those organizations. It's no different. You cashed the checks. You're in the organization. They paid you, and you did what they asked you to do. So you don't get to walk away from it. And you don't get to look at us and say, guys, you need to turn down the rhetoric. We haven't taken a shot at anybody, not one.
What you're seeing on the screen are posts from Brian Tyler Cohen over the last several weeks and months. Of course, not since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, but this is the rhetoric that was coming from the person who organized and leads Chorus Media, funded through the 1630 Fund. This is the type of rhetoric that I believe firmly got us to a place where somebody thought it was okay to climb up on a roof and assassinate a private citizen simply for trying to impact the lives of young Americans positively. Look at this. This is supposed to be one of the most important influencers on the left today. And this is the rhetoric that we're hearing from these people. And I've got an entire folder full of stuff like this. So I don't want to hear a single word from any of you malcontent, lunatic leftists about telling us to turn down the rhetoric. Because quite honestly, it's not our rhetoric that's the problem. You see, and this is one of the challenges that the conservatives, that MAGA, and the people on the right, Republicans, have always had to deal with. And I don't know exactly how we bridge this gap here, but there are lines in the sand that are drawn for people who value life and have a moral compass and are guided by something bigger and more important and more valuable than just our own self-interest. There's just things we won't do. There's a reason why Harry and Chris and Dean and Parker and whatever this idiot's name is, Brian Tyler Cohen and David Pakman and Aaron Parnas. There's a reason why these guys continue to say the things that they say. It's because they know their lives aren't going to be put in danger because of it. We can't do that because we're dealing with a demonically influenced group of people who have turned their lives over to the enemy and are being used as vessels. That's a very difficult bridge for us, or gap for us to be able to bridge, because we have to be able to continue to engage in this fight. But there's a reason why Harry can get on X and can get on TikTok and say the most god-awful, horrific things in the world, because he knows that people aren't going to take the steps that their side is willing to take. Yep. SK?
Yeah, I agree. And I just think that we need to make sure that we do not get silenced. We speak louder. We don't let fear get in the way, because I'm sure you guys get them too. I get threats every day. And
Every day.
when you see it happen, yeah, every single day, sometimes multiple times a day, I don't even open my messages. But I think to myself, oh, I'm nobody. They're not coming for me. They're looking at people like, Charlie Kirk. I'm nobody. But I think that we need to be careful, but we need to not be silenced. And we need to understand we're not dealing with rational people. These people will stop at nothing. They want an actual revolution. They want heads to roll. They want to literally overthrow the government.
Well, here's what they want. Let me show you what we're up against, America.
Radical leftist. I am not a liberal. I am a socialist. My job is to radicalize the youth in this nation into understanding that the government couldn't give less of a fuck if you lived or died as long as you paid your taxes. I'm not fucking around. I will radicalize as many people as I possibly can.
Does he not realize that as a socialist, the entire point of socialism is that they're going to confiscate your money? Meaning you exist to feed the socialist system, period. You don't get to keep your things, like very much of them. You get to keep a little bit of them, but the socialists themselves, the AOCs, the Mamdanis, the Bernie Sanders, all those other people, they're going to take your things. And they're going to get super rich, and then they're going to throw a couple of scraps off the table for you. They're Chris Valenti. And you just led a lot of people to that slaughter. What do you mean? What do you mean the government doesn't care about you unless you pay your taxes? That's literally the point of socialism. That's it.
The whole point. Like the entire point. I mean, there's so much there. I could go on about that video forever. I just watched that and I was like, what? But this is how they all talk. They don't even understand the words that they use. fascism. Don't understand it. In the same sentence, they will say Donald Trump is a fascist dictator. He is literally Hitler, and ICE is the Gestapo, but we need to take away guns. And you're just like, are you okay?
No, they're not even a little bit
You know,
okay.
the mis and
we have
disinformation. Why did they say that in that press conference? That kind of bothers me because that was the left's whole push, was we have to censor people because of mis and disinformation. No, you don't. It's not the government's job to tell you what's true and what's not true.
I think from a law enforcement perspective, I can understand the need to slow down the mountain of information that is being thrown at them. I mean, just about every post I come across, Kash Patel and the FBI and Dan Bongino are being tagged in. Can you imagine how hard it is for them to be able to actually sift through that and figure out what's real, what's not real? I know it's their job, and I know they have to figure out how to do it. And I know there has to be processes and systems and technology to help them with it. But
They have it.
it's got to be overwhelming with the amount of misinformation. I mean, I got caught doing it. I thought that video of the guy, the bald guy that they arrested at the event, I ran with it. I mean, I communicated it in a way that it was accurate because he was arrested, he was
Mhm.
taken away, he was a suspect. But like, that's the type of stuff that I agree with them. We've got to figure out how we actually share real information with the FBI and with law enforcement without overwhelming them with nothing but things that waste their time, jumping down rabbit holes that aren't taken where they need to be. But at the same time, I mean, every tip is a good tip. So I don't really know what the answer is, but I can understand where they're coming from that.
I can too. I mean, it's also breaking. It's breaking faster than the speed of the internet, right? And we're trying to figure it out. A lot of us are trying to help, trying to understand what's going on. I think there is. Everybody retreats into their corner when something like this happens. It's always, you did it. We know you did it, and we're just as guilty of that. But we have a lot of evidence, a lot of history that tells us why things like this happen. And we're going to end up being correct at the end of this, what the motive is. But of course, there's fog of war, there's fog of information, warfare that goes on. There's no question about it. We're doing our best. There's no question about it. We're doing our best. But when that is, and there's an old man on his knees with his forehead on the ground, and police are essentially putting him in a handcuffs, and he's being detained. That is news. That's information, right?
That's
And
right.
they did it for a reason, and they interviewed him and said he wasn't a person of interest, and they let him go. That's okay. The information changes.
That's right. SK, you look like you're going to say something. I want to show you guys a couple more before we wrap up here in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I put a lot of stuff in there earlier today. I don't know if there's anything in there worth using or not, but no, I don't understand the thinking, like you were saying. I mean, logically, these people continue to say this is somebody from the right that's done this. And I just don't understand the mental gymnastics that it takes to be able to convince yourself that somebody that is on the right side of the aisle would unalive one of the key figures from the right side of the aisle. Like what how does that work?
Well, here's
Well,
here's
it
how it
can.
works. This is my opinion, and I don't know if it's shared by everyone on this panel, and if it's not, that's okay. No matter how far into darkness you go, there is always at least a little bit of the moral fabric of the universe that comes directly from the creator inside of you. And I honestly think that the effort to try to shift blame and point at MAGA for something that your rhetoric has directly created is an attempt to try to justify the belief system that you have. Say, well, that could not have been me. It couldn't have been the things that I believe in that did that. Even though it is, they just don't want to accept it. Because you
Well,
got to
I mean-
understand, these people have been taught, most of them have been taught and indoctrinated that the left are the ones who value people, the ones who value life, the ones who actually care about people, and they live in a world of empathy. When that's the furthest thing from the truth. They don't care about any of that stuff. but that's what they've been told. And when the actions and the results of their ideology plays out and people end up getting killed, the only thing that they can think to do is say, well, there's no way that could come from us, even though it does. Nom, I think you got something to say about that.
I forgot what I was going to say, but no, I mean, so yeah, what I was going to jump in and say there was, they're trying to rationalize that. Well, there's no way that my side could do this because we're empathetic, right? We have empathy for people, and we're a big tent. We love everybody except we don't like those MAGA guys. We don't like them at all. They're trying to save space in their brains to say, when I threatened the president's life yesterday on a TikTok video, I literally said, when's it going to happen? Who's going to do it? Can you please make it happen? And then somebody goes and does something that I didn't really mean that. I didn't really
was
mean
just
that.
doing it for clicks, and I wanted
I was
people
doing
to
it
see my face.
for clicks, whatever. But I mean, that's sort of one of the things we learned today. We're kind of done playing around with these people. We're kind of done letting them, lob these threats. The unemployment numbers are going to drastically increase the next time they count those things next month for all of the people that I saw getting fired today.
Oh, it's left and right.
Absurd takes. Guys,
School districts firing people, teachers losing jobs, healthcare workers.
Gartner, some lady got fired from Gartner. The administrative assistant for one of the top people at Ole Miss got fired today.
She should have.
Yeah,
Her comments were awful. And look, go ahead, SK, and I want to jump in. I got 2 more of these videos I want to show people before we wrap up.
There are a ton of people that have been fired, and I'm glad, even in my own state, which is solid red. And the stuff that I've seen is absolutely abhorrent. That's where we are in this country. But they're even trying to make this about race. And I don't know how that's another thing. And I really think that they're just mad about their Supreme Court case that they lost for reparations. But there was a post and a statement issued by the Black Wall Street Times, which is from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And they literally make this about race. And the words are what bother me, just like Barack Obama posting about this and then turning around in the very next post, basically being ICE is horrible and everybody needs to be loud against ICE and blah, blah, blah. It's like they say one little thing about, oh, this is bad, don't do this. And then they turn around and they're like, but this is terrible. You know what I mean? And the Black Wall Street Times did that. They said that they condemn political violence in all its forms. At the same time, we cannot ignore the harm caused by Charlie Kirk's rhetoric, which has inflamed racism and targeted the Black community through words that translate into dangerous policies. We will never forget how his racism made us feel, nor how it exposed our community to discrimination and hostility. And then it goes on to talk about it's tragic that, America's reached this point, blah, 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 racism and xenophobia, blah, blah, blah. And that he's a victim of his own hate. The last sentence literally says that he's too blinded by racism and xenophobia to see that it is becoming a victim of its own hate.
That is literally, I don't condone that happened, but I'm glad it did because he deserved it. That's exactly. You might as well not even said the first part of it, right? You're shelving your entire thing. Yeah, honestly, I don't condone it, but man, I am sure happy that someone assassinated Charlie Kirk because he deserved it.
I am just so.
All right. I got one coming up here. Maybe.
Yeah. I'm mentally exhausted right now. I mean, literally exhausted. I'm worn out.
That Charlie Kirk's murder was seen by everyone. You don't find it suspicious that we in America do not show murders televised or on social media, especially. It's always blurred out. It's always censored. Why have all of us seen it? Is my question. You don't find that suspicious?
Because you shot him in broad daylight. That's
because
why.
Me,
and people were recording the event.
I think that doesn't make much sense.
That's because you're a freaking idiot.
We'll see people get shot in the arm. We'll see people get shot in the finger, in the ear.
Like listen to her trying to rationalize this.
Why did we all see the murder?
Because you killed him.
I think that they did that on purpose.
Yeah, you guys killed him on purpose.
They didn't give anyone infractions or community guidelines for sharing it because They want you to see it so that
The
you are
American people
moved, no matter
need
what side you're on.
to see
Turn
what
that
happened.
off. Turn that
Stuff.
off. I turn that off.
Like
That's-
this.
But hold on. How again? This is what I'm talking. Okay, every accusation by the left is a confession, and she just said all of that. Yet, how many times were Donald Trump's rallies covered by CNN? And was he shot on live TV? Live TV. This wasn't on live TV. These were people's phones in the audience, and she had the nerve, the testicular fortitude to say everything she just said when we literally had President Trump almost killed on live TV.
yeah.
Unbelievable. All right, I got one more for you, and this one will probably make your head pop off. And then I want to close with, I think, what is probably the most powerful video clip that I think I've ever seen of Charlie Kirk. That will fundamentally change your understanding of
Died
why
by
he
the
was so
sword.
important.
He did say that gun deaths were an acceptable side effect of gun rights.
Like that's America. That's who they are. They're telling you who they are.
I have said this over and over today, and there's so many posts, and all of the Democrats coming in the comments and on panels debating today. They want to bring up guns and all that, and they say this. Every single one of them are repeating this about Charlie Kirk, and they're like, "Oh, well, how do you think Charlie Kirk feels now?" Blah blah blah. I'm going to tell you right now, if anything were to ever happen to me at the hand of a gun, I better not hear a single person advocating for taking people's rights away. Period.
That's right.
The end. Ever. Because you
it's not
don't
going to
take-
solve any problems. It's not going to solve any
No.
problems.
No. Did it happen in a gun-free zone?
It's on a college campus.
Yeah.
Weird.
And you know what's really fascinating about that? I know you got another real quick. All of the common sense gun laws that they're talking about, for some reason, these things continue to happen. And they happen in ways that none of their common sense gun laws would have ever stopped it to begin with. None of it. There's over 400 million guns. There's over, I believe, 1 trillion rounds of ammunition right now in private hands. They're not going anywhere. There's no chance you're getting rid of these things. If you rely on law-abiding people to get rid of them, where does that leave us? Because there's a freaking crap ton of them that are in not law-abiding people's hands. Where does that leave us? No. So you know what? Charlie's right. We'll take a little bit of risk for that freedom, because that freedom could be the difference between an attacker coming at you armed and you have no ability to defend yourself.
That's right. Actually, I was wrong. I have two. I'm going to show you in 2 clips why they assassinated Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
News decides Donald Trump is president of the United States. We've got our republic back, folks.
Let's go.
There it is.
Never would have happened without him.
Everybody should remember this moment. Look, I'm gonna echo Charlie from earlier. Remember where you were when this happened. Remember where you were when you realized that the Uniparty and all of these, just the establishment, you said it's time to actually participate. And look what you guys have done.
And if anyone deserves to get tears in his eyes, it's Charlie. I think we all agree.
I think Erica was chopping some onions or something in the break room.
No one has worked harder than Charlie for this.
We gotta hear some words here from you, Charlie. You put all this together, my man. Let's hear it.
I am just humbled by God. It's all God.
Humbled by God.
It's all God. God alone.
Donald Trump would not be in the White House were it not for the ministry that Charlie Kirk built and led millions of young men and women out of a potential life stuck in an authoritarian mental hospital that is the radical left. I got one more, and then we're going to wrap. This one wrecked me yesterday when I saw this. And for me, it put it into perfect picture of why Charlie Kirk had to be assassinated. The first one was important, but this is the reason right here.
You're remembered. I mean, if I die, everything just goes away. How would you, if you could be associated with one thing, how would you want to be remembered? I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. The most important thing is my faith in my life.
And that's why he killed him. Charlie
Because
Kirk.
he was teaching a bunch of young people that too.
Charlie Kirk was living out his faith, and he was going to the one place that men of faith were never allowed to go, and they haven't been allowed to go for decades. He was taking it in literally into the propaganda warehouse where they indoctrinate our children and they spit out brainless robots into radical left ideology. And he broke that system and he turned the tide. And now there are going to be tens of millions of people out there who've had their lives forever changed because of him. He was martyred. Charlie Kirk was a martyr.
Yep.
He's an American hero.
I am Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, I am.
I
Charlie Kirk.
am Charlie Kirk. All right, folks. I would like to say that this was fun because it's always fun when we get a chance to come up and talk to you. But the reality is, this is a terrible topic to have to talk about. But I think we all need to be very well prepared for the fact that it is very likely that we're going to see more of this unless President Trump comes up with some effort to put an end to this, to dismantle every single network, capture every dollar, investigate and put in jail everybody who's engaging in the seditious conspiracy of a color revolution in this country. It's going to happen again. And we just need to be ready for it.
We still have 3.5 more years. So.
And remember what it was like in 2020 when they had constant chaos going on, like just so people would be like, fine, we'll vote for you, just stop.
Mhm.
I feel like
I don't think that's going to work this time.
But it's also started so much earlier. I mean, they started talking about it before he was even elected, just like the lawfare and all this stuff. It's just like they want chaos.
I don't think it's going to work this time.
They do want chaos, but this is a different administration. These are different people. They are prepared. They know what they're doing. They're just waiting. They've got to put all the pieces in place. You can't do this half-ass. You can't do this and not get it right. I mean, we saw that we're already seeing the DC grand jury, that jury pool over there, which is 95%, Biden supporters and Kamala supporters. They're already resisting by refusing to indict anybody that's coming up in front of them. Right.
That's right.
So
that's right. All right, y'all. This was great. We'll be back in a couple of days. This is the Patriot Source Podcast. Out. As soon as I can get this video to play. Come on. Maybe. There it is. Later.